How's things in COVID going?
Are you rolling?
I'm rolling. We are live right now,
Oh,
brother.
that's fantastic. I was gonna say because if you ask me a question like that, you bet you better be recording, dude. I will say this, man. It has been a. I've adopted the philosophy that adversity is not my enemy. It is my teacher. It's actually one of my best friends because all of the things that I've learned, I've been very fortunate to. I've either had some really cool roles or I've worked with some incredible people. But the challenges that those opportunities have brought me is really what I've gleaned the most from. People are like, "You've got such a great career." It's like that's cool because that's been able to keep me living in Los Angeles. It's put a roof over my head. It's been able to give me some great experiences, and um, I've got a boy now that I love, and he's 2.5, almost 3, and like I'm being able to plan for his future in a way that my parents never could. But the best benefit personally to me has been the fact that I learned what you should never, ever, 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 ever do. And fortunately, I've worked with people that have been kind enough to go, hey, dude, don't ever do that again. And if you don't, then I think you may be able to continue doing this. So that's been my like the best perk of the job ever is the learning that I've gotten from it. So all of a sudden, I remember I was flying. I flew like 250,000 miles last year in
Wow.
2019. Sorry, so
Yeah.
2020 I flew a fraction of that because I January and February I was going crazy. We had like Dice that was in Vegas, and then
Yeah.
I
Cons.
flew. Yeah, that was like the last big event that I went to, and I was actually on March 3rd or whatever. I have to look back.
Mm.
I was on my way to Kuwait, of all places, to go to a pop culture convention and had a little stopover in London. And I landed at Heathrow and checked my messages, and my phone is just like going crazy. And it's my manager going, "Do not get on the plane to Kuwait. The entire country has shut down because of this COVID thing." So I went
Wow.
into the British Airways lounge. I was like, "Can I go home now?" They're like, "We'll see you tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay." And I went into London and I went to one of my favorite pubs and had a pint and a pie and just fell asleep and flew back the next day. And my wife was like, "Weren't you supposed to be gone for like the next week?" And that was the last time that I was at LA airport and I was on a plane. I haven't been on a plane since. And that's really, really weird for me. But what I realized
Wow.
in the wake of it was that I had started like, I gotten really busy and I got this kid that is the center of my world. And I was abdicating I mean tacitly abdicating my entire position as his father because I was so busy working for him. And what this opportunity has given me in COVID is I dig in with my boy, man. We go on
Mm.
walks and we have to get really creative. And every night when we go down for like either I put him down or my wife puts him down. And when I put him down, he goes like, "Let's talk about my mind so I can use my imagination." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, let's talk about it." So that's what I've gained from it. And I've been able to do that and not panic or fear um, because I work in an industry of professional problem solvers. Like that's what they do. They looked at COVID and they went, "Ah, it's bad
Yeah.
design. We're used to squashing bugs. Bring it on." So literally the day we went into lockdown, Sony, Warner Brothers, Disney, everybody called and was like, "Can you do what you do from home?" I was like, "Yeah." And so I kind of hot rodded up my rig and made a makeshift booth, and I was able to
You didn't
keep
have one
working.
already.
Because I didn't work here. I
Yeah.
would
Right.
do like auditions and stuff. I was like, that's good enough for auditions. But
Yep.
we've been in this like last year, 2019. We're looking at a house, and so I was like, I'm not going to build out a place here. I'm going to do that at the new place, and I'll build out my place there. And so I've just kind of been ad hoc for the last several years, and this year was like, fuck, that would have been really beneficial if I had that. But what's so funny is that, every show, no matter how big or how small, whether it be a game, animation, they were all trying to just get it done. Here's a USB mic. You got a Yeti? Awesome. Plug it in and let's finish our show.
So, did you have more work last year or less? Would you say?
I would say I had more of different work.
Okay.
So it's not uncommon for me to be, you know, on a stage in a suit, and I did one of those. There
Wow.
was one, matter of fact, the first time for me to be back on set was for a project that's coming out maybe this year. Hopefully it's this year.
Don't tease me, Troy.
I mean, I can't say anything. But I will say this, it took that size of a production for them to be able to go, we have to figure out how to shoot. And so they did.
Wow.
And it was like everybody from the director on down went to this place. You get a COVID test, you find out in 15 minutes, you're good to go, show up at work. And every day on set, we got tested once, if not twice. And it was the first time they're like, here's the direction of flow of traffic. You walk in this door and out this door, and don't fuck around. Like if you want to work here today, put on a mask unless you're eating food, go to your trailer and hang out. If you're on set, put on a mask unless you have a scene where you're speaking. It was a
Yeah.
thing,
Wow.
man. But everybody was just so grateful to be working again. So we're like, if that's what we have to do, then let's do it. I'm grateful, man, because look, normally you can chalk up Hollywood to whatever it is, but at the end of the day, it's a bunch of people that are just completely impassioned and eat up with what they love to do, and they'll figure out a way to do it. I was really proud of our industry. I was proud of, especially people in games and animation. Animation boomed in this last year, so there's
Yeah.
more animation series and that have been greenlit. And every studio, no matter what game they shipped, deserves. And I've heard people give me a lot of flack for this. Every game that comes out deserves at least a thank you for trying, because there's people that put in the midst of everyone else of freaking out over COVID. What does it mean? What's going to happen to me financially? What does this mean for the rest of our world? I have kids, all of that. People still made games, and they
Mm.
still did what they have to do in order. And it's a very demanding, cruel, grinding process. And
Mm.
that's a whole other conversation that we could have about is whether or not it should be. But the
Well,
fact of the matter, it is.
I'm glad that we are having a conversation. I don't want it to be like an interview. It's just two buddies, two mates,
Oh, dude, this is
out
my
hanging
this
out.
is my vibe right now. It's just like I also, you got me warmed up because we literally just did I do this great podcast with Alana Pierce, Mike Bithell, and Austin Wintry.
Great podcast.
Yeah,
Great podcast.
well, all Aussies know each other, right? So, so we literally just had our 50th episode, which we were doing I think we were doing once a month, and then
Mm.
we were like, well, I guess we maybe make this once a week, and then we're like, maybe we should do a live episode. So here we are, 50 episodes on, and we've covered everything from today we were talking about the patent that Warner Brothers put, and the CD Projekt Red terrorism strike. So, and then we'll talk about something stupid like Jerry Goldsmith's scoring shitty movies, and why I haven't finished
Well,
Fallen Order.
I was listening to one of those podcasts. I think it was the last one,
All
and
right,
you mentioned my favorite director, Christopher Nolan.
all right.
Okay, just getting that out here. Now, you were a bit hesitant on Tenet, weren't you?
I was just
You weren't sold.
confused. And here's what it made me do. I wanted to I want Nolan to go back. Look, what he did for Batman, he's the spiritual successor to Tim Burton. He was like, I'm gonna make you think differently about this character. And honestly, especially where what Tim Burton did, he was like, I'm gonna pull it out of 66, which was great, and I'm not going to disparage that because we're here because of that. But at the time when Tim Burton said, I want to do, or Warner Brothers said, we're going to do Batman again, comic books by and large were kind of dead, even though what was happening in print was incredible. Think about what was happening late 80s, early 90s. It was bananas what was happening. That's the whole
Mm.
Red Hood. You've got Death in the Family. All of that is
Oh
incredible.
yeah, amazing.
But what was happening on screen was it was bad. And people got it from a bargain basement. They went in and they bought the rights up to that and a lot of other stuff for super, super cheap. And they're like, let's just make a movie. And it doesn't matter if it's successful or not. Let's give it to the guy who did Beetlejuice and see what he does. And then you got
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan comes and goes, I'm going to give you Dark Knight. And that's that. What happened in the mid to late 90s is what I'm going to give you now. And so then he comes out with that.
So you love
I
Dark
just,
Knight?
well, yeah. I mean, if you watch what Batman Begins is a it's a twist, right? But like him doing Dark Knight, or really Dark Knight Rises, is his twist on it again, and he kind of like grabbed a bunch of like year one stuff in there because you kind of hint towards who Alfred is, and
Yeah.
or more especially Gordon, and kind of the fact.
I
Anyway,
love how you know all this stuff.
dude, I'm a
Most actors wouldn't
Batman
know this.
nerd. I'm a
No, but
Batman
most
nerd.
actors won't know any of this. I just love that you've got this passion, brother.
I do. Oh man,
love it.
don't get me going on Daredevil. Jesus, I'll go
Oh,
off.
you
But
really
dude,
want that game, don't you?
I want that game so bad, and it's so funny because every time I say Daredevil, Bill Roseman goes, "Please shut up. Please just shut up. Just please don't." It was so funny. It was like, "Hey, do you want to know what it's like to have an emergency meeting about you at Warner Brothers or at Marvel?"
Yeah. Going back to Nolan,
Yeah.
so you didn't like Tenet. Do you like his other films at least? Like, 'cause
That's
I
why.
think
That's what I'm saying.
Prestige
Like,
is a masterpiece.
it made me go back and go, "Have you ever seen Following?" Like, if you really want to
Yeah.
appreciate
Great
Christopher
film.
Nolan, that go back and watch like what this guy was doing
No
when
budget.
he had. Yeah, dude, it's incredible. Memento is. If you watch Following, people are like, "Oh, I remember Memento." It's like Memento was linear compared to Following, and I think that Christopher Nolan has been like even Insomnia. If you watch Insomnia, he makes
Yeah.
the movies of where he's at, and Following is a movie of where he was in when was that 96?
98?
98 maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So he makes it then, and then he was like, "Oh, I wonder what it would be like," because it was all a product of function. Like he made that because his actors were messing with him, not intentionally, but just like he's like, "Oh, I guess we're doing this now," and so he was writing and adjusting, and it taught him how to be a really good director. I'm paraphrasing and speaking for him. Then it was like, well, how do we use that? What if we based a movie on this kind of weird out of timeline sequence? Then he does Memento, and then it's like, and then people give him this, and then he does Insomnia, and he's just kind of like hovering here. And then the same thing with Tim Burton. It's like, what if we give him one of the largest franchises ever? What does he do with that? So I mean, I applaud him for that, but it's like he's forgotten how to do a small movie, and I want him to go back and do a small movie.
You think he's got too much budget? Yeah. Too much
I
scope.
think that he's just he's someone who loves making films, and someone has given him the opportunity to go and make the kind of films that he wanted to make when he was a kid. But it feels like a step back. Like I remember Duncan Jones going from Moon to Warcraft.
Yeah.
That's not Duncan Jones make Moon. Oh my God. What an incredible movie.
We are going to get into gaming here because I know
All right.
we are short in time. But I want to ask you
Sure.
quick. I want to tell you firstly.
Tell me.
I just listened to your album recently from 2014.
Oh,
And
shit.
I got to
Cool.
say, man, that is a great album. Far
Thank
out.
you,
Like,
man.
That's got a bit of, for me, Coldplay's my favorite band of all time. But this has a bit of Coldplay, a bit of U2, Joshua's Tree, bit of Parachutes, Coldplay. Am I on the right track or not?
Absolutely. So you especially hit it on with Joshua Tree. So I remember Joshua Tree was like my first rock and roll record that spoke to me. And
U2,
it wasn't,
by the way, for listeners.
What's that?
I said that's a U2 album.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
listeners.
yeah.
Yeah.
The U2 record, in my opinion. 1987, and they were this big success over in Ireland, and it was their first tour here. Is when they did the Joshua Tree tour, or they may have done a smaller tour, but it was really their first real big tour was when they did Joshua Tree. So I have like this indelible memory of the first time I ever heard that record on vinyl, and I professed my undying devotion to my best friend's sister, and she flatly turned me down. And so this album just stayed with me, and
How funny.
I would listen to it, and at that time it was just on cassette, and so I would, before it would run out on side A, before it would flip over to the other side, I would rewind and start it all over again. So the only thing that I knew was like Where the Streets Have No Name, With or Without You, all of that. And then one day I just let it go to the other side, and all of a sudden there's this whole new album. There's Red Hill Mining Town, which became one of my favorite songs. There's Mother of the Disappeared. There's all of these songs. So there's this relationship between side A and side B. So that record that we did, 2014, was trying to be in the same way. It's the reason why we did like a big gospel choir is because Rattle and Hum, when that movie came out, there was a black gospel choir in Harlem that did a version of Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. That, and I was like, I want to do that someday, and I got to do that in Capitol Records. We got to do this amazing gospel choir that did an arrangement of the song uh, "What We Lost in the Fire," and we got to record at Capitol Records. And it was like a dream come true. Those people that worked on that, I ended up there was this improvised song called "Window to the Abbey." And I sat down at a keyboard and I played 3 notes. I went dun dun dun, and then I played 4 dun 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 dun. That was it. And everybody sat down at their instruments and started playing, and it was completely improvised, one take. I'm calling out chords, I'm calling out changes as we go. We got
You
it
gotta
in
love that
one.
though. You gotta
Yeah,
love
dude,
that.
it's one of my favorite songs on the record. And we did it up
Yeah.
in this cabin in Big Bear, in the mountains of Big Bear, California. And in 2 weeks, or actually, I guess we were up there for about 5 days, we made a record. I took those guys, and Wayne Miller, who was the bass player on that album, says, I want to produce your next record. And then
Wow.
in 2016, we were like, let's make another record. And we went up to up in the Bay Area, up on top of Mount Tamalpais, basically. And the spiritual ethos of collaborating and really just vibing off of each other and taking those songs and making it that was our second album, and we called the project Window to the Abbey. So that one
Hold
on
on, you've got
Spotify.
another album that I haven't heard.
Yeah, man. And the
Oh
first
wow.
album is kind of me getting out 10 years worth of music, and it was this cathartic thing. And the second album is now, what does it look like? And then one of my favorite moments of last year was I sat at this piano over here, and we had been in lockdown for about 2 weeks, and it was starting to wear thin. And
Yeah.
it had been raining in Los Angeles, which is preternatural to the summer, or at least Los Angeles. And it was a moment where we were starting to feel the bearing down the weight of everything, and there was a lot of uncertainty, and I just needed to breathe. So I sat down at the piano and I wrote this song, and I literally just told myself, just breathe. And 15 minutes later, I had the entire song, and I sent it to Wayne. It was like, how can we make this cooler? And long story short, about 2 weeks later, that song had circled the globe, and we had about 100 people participating in this song, and everybody recorded in isolation. Because everybody was in quarantine. And I think it's the best song that I've ever done. And it's
Wow.
we had like 72 singers.
Wow.
So we created a choir virtually, thanks to people
Oh,
like
that's
Eric
awesome.
Whitaker, who inspired me to do something like that. So
Wow.
yeah, man, music is kind of that was the
It's
first
ingrained in
foray.
you. I know that.
Yeah, very much so.
So let's talk about this freaking amazing career that you've had, brother.
I will.
I
for
mean,
sure.
you could walk away right now and you'd be in the Hall of Fame. Let's call it.
Hmm.
How does that feel looking back? At this career so far, you're just thankful and grateful.
Yeah, man. There's times I run. I'm not. I would not consider myself a runner, but
I was gonna say I've taken you up on the running, and I'm trying to get longer and longer each day. It's not working out great, but I'm trying.
it's, you know what? Listen to your body, man, because like
No, I
today,
will. Yeah.
I've been doing 2 miles no problem, and today was a harder day. It's like it's a snapshot of your day, and you go, today it was hard. Tomorrow may be easy,
Yeah.
but I'm going to get up every day and figure it out. But it's definitely my meditation, and a lot of times when I'm in that zone, I start thinking about, and there's moments in my life where or especially in my career, where I cringe, man. I'm like, oh God, I can't believe I did that, and I would go back and change. And the wisdom of age, I think, brings the notion that there's a lot that I would do differently, but I wouldn't change a thing, and that is living a life without regret, because I am grateful for where I am. And if I'm the happiest that I've ever been in my life, and I'm the most fulfilled that I've ever been in my life, and if that's a truth, then that means everything that has happened before has brought me to this place. So I have to love it. And the truth of that, and I've known pain, I've known loss, I've known tragedy, I've known poverty, I've known a lot of adversity. But for the last 5 years, I've been really trying to unpack what does that mean and how does that brought me to where I am. And it all culminates in my son. And you pull apart the smallest, most insignificant, menial decision. And if that means he's not here, I put it back. The most cringeworthy moment where I go, if I got to go back in time and tell myself to turn left versus right, or tell this person not to do this, or invest in Apple or whatever it is, if that right there means that he's not here in the exact way that he is, I wouldn't do it. And that's how you learn to love. That's how I've learned to love my past and how I've learned to love my mistakes, because they've brought me where I'm at. It doesn't mean that I don't like everything about where I'm at. There's a lot of shit that I hate about where I'm at, but that's why I get up every morning and I go run, or I try to find new ways to have different conversations or change the things about me, or I read these books that I'm reading to make myself better. But I don't want to go back and change anything. That's no longer viable. First of all, I can't. And secondly, I don't want to. I want to change tomorrow. I don't want to change yesterday.
Are you still as excited as you were 15 years ago when you first did Brothers in Arms?
I'm more excited.
Wow.
Then I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing a lot of times. But no, the difference.
That did have
Steven
a great
Spielberg. That's a great quote from Steven
10-minute
Spielberg.
cutscene though. That game.
That's dude. BIA 3 is one of my favorite cutscenes I've ever done. And here's the story behind that.
Wow.
Ever. David Gary was a dear friend, fellow musician in Dallas. He's the guy that roped me into this whole gig. He was like, "Hey, we're doing a game. You got a cool voice. Do you want to come and talk into this microphone and be this?" The guy's name's actually Baker. I thought it'd be funny. So I went to Gearbox and I went across from his office, which was a closet, a server room, and we turned off the AC and I turned off the lights for some reason, and I talked into the microphone and I said, I never wanted to be. That was it. That was just how I never asked to be squad leader, but I had no choice. And that's how I became Matt Baker. Now I've got 13 men under my song. I mean, I like that. I could recite that entire thing.
Were you going to be an actor at that point? Is that what you wanted to do? No.
I was gonna be a rock and roller, man. I was gonna be a musician. I was gonna set the world on fire with my music.
So that changed the course of your career. That one moment.
Not even then. The going to get gas. That's what I'm saying, man. It's not the big decisions. It's every little step that you take is what leads you down the path that you're at. So if I hadn't have done this, then I wouldn't have done that. If I hadn't have gone to Club Clearview that night on a Thursday to go see whatever band, and there's Dave McGarry, I never would have met him. So that wouldn't have. So it's not about this is the moment where I make a change in my career. Yeah. It's when you meet that person who can give you that opportunity. So you never know when your life is changing.
Wow.
Period.
So I know that. Go on. Were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say that the story about the reason why that moment is such an important moment, and I don't even know if Randy Pitchford knows this. Dave McGarry and I were super tight. We were like buds. We're intimate friends.
Yep.
And we had a big falling out, and we had not seen each other in years. He had moved away. But because at that time, it was like, yo, you come in here and you're playing Corian. You come in here, you're now playing Red. And it was just the different people that worked at Gearbox. And then they hired me because I had a cooler voice to be the main dude. That's how they cast that game.
Right.
There was only one other professional actor that was in that. So, but he was still Red. So we come back for 3, and there's this moment. It was the first time that Dave and I had been in the same room for years, and there was all of this air between us, and we're sitting there and we recorded live with each other. I'm in this room, he's in that room, and we're talking to each other, and we're having this scene where Red is recovering in bed, and it's clear that because of his injury he's going to go home, and we just broke down together. And it was this first, I was like, this is I'd never had a scene like that before. So we get to do that thing, and I'm like, I want to do this. I didn't realize that games could do this. So it was a very, very real moment, because at that moment, I'm talking to my best friend. And that's why that scene is so, I think, so impactful. So
you just started crying.
Oh, yeah.
You and him. Wow.
It's like, you're going home. And he just looked up at me, and then he did one of those things where he's like, we can't look at each other right now because we'll lose our shit. So it's this really,
Wow,
really,
that's awesome.
it's chasing that, and then that is the moment that you go, where else can I do this? And then somebody gives you an opportunity to go, and then I play. I was doing this shitty movie in Texas, and somebody let me borrow another person that was the first people that got me in this business was Kyle Richards, who worked for a company who's not even around anymore. He's now at Sony and is still a dear friend. And he was like, here's your solace. Here's a PlayStation 3. And you need to play this game called Uncharted. And so I would go back to my shitty hotel after shooting a shitty movie. And I would load this up. And I was like, God, I haven't played a game in so long. And I sat and I played Uncharted. And I was like, I didn't know it could be like this. And I want to do what I'm doing on this movie right now. I want to do it in that, because I understood. He told me, it was like, they put actors on a stage, and if they were in a Jeep, they built a Jeep. If they were on a ship, they built a ship. I was like, I want to do that. I had no idea that people were doing that. Let me do that. And I emailed Phil Kovacs, who was the audio director, because I knew that the audio director was my buddy at Naughty Dog. I was like, just want to let you guys know you did a fantastic job. And that was it. And Phil was like, I don't remember. Yeah, nothing ever came from it. That's the thing. Wow. Like, I've done all the stuff that actors should never do. I've done all those things.
Trying to get in there, emailing people, creating contacts.
It's not effective.
Not effective? No. Don't do it.
I mean, who knows? There's the guy that they ended up getting for Michael J. Fox on the Telltale games for Back to the Future called and left his audition reel as a voicemail.
Wow.
And they were like, holy crap, that guy sounds exactly like him. So it can work. But my first audition that I had for a film, I came in and there was a scene where I had a knife to somebody's throat. And so I did it to the reader's throat, who was actually the producer of the film. And the director goes, okay, cut. Let's take away the knife. Because don't ever do that again. Because it was safeties, but it's still a knife. I was like, well, that's just what the scene called for. It was like Danny Trejo has a story, and he comes in and he's like supposed to play this role of someone who's, knocking over a convenience store, and they're like, fantastic acting. What's your experience? He was like, 7-Eleven and a Chevron. And he was like, oh, you've actually robbed these places. Like, yeah, just go to the joint. So sometimes you just kind of pull from those life experiences, and you hope that somebody gives you an opportunity to play that as a character. It's a catharsis, man.
Got to ask you about Call of Duty, because I do a lot of content on Call of Duty here. Just been playing through Advanced Warfare for the first second. Sorry, what do you mean?
Dude, we shot a hell of a game. Fondly? First of all, I can tell you stories. Sledgehammer's a great...
Please do.
Yeah, they're a great developer. Stone and those guys are awesome. You've got two of the guys from Sledgehammer that went off and started their own company now. So, I mean... Here we go. We show up on set, and all we see on the sides, because you get a call sheet, and it's like you see, Gideon Emery, you see Troy Baker, and you see Russell Rich, all these people, and then you see KS. I'm like, okay. I was like, who's the big? And I came in second, even though I'm the player character. Like, we shot a whole bunch of stuff first, and then we came in and we shot your stuff. And I show up on set, and nobody tells me who the number one is. I'm like,
you didn't know? Wow.
No. So I show up on set, I was like, KS. KSI? No. KS. And then one day we show up on set. Good morning, everybody. How are you? And I was like, holy shit. And we had just kind of set up, and there was this long table that we all just kind of, all the actors kind of sat. It was a common area, but it was just a big, long, conference table or whatever on set. And I was at this corner here. It's like call it the northwest corner.
Yeah.
And so Kevin comes up and he sits down and he decides to make his base of operations at the head of the table, of course, right next to me. And so for 2 weeks, it was just Spacey and I just, going back and sharing music. He was mixing his album at the same time. I was mixing mine. I was like, tell me what you think. And so we were like, swapping mixes back and forth. And there's this moment where you remember the scene in the game where they said, Stacey goes, on whose authority?
Mm-hmm.
The first read that Kevin gives, he goes, on my authority. And it's just like, that's why you hired Kevin Spacey. You got House of Cards and every other movie and show that comes before it right there. And it was like, oh man, that's so good. And they're like, great job, great. We're gonna go one more time, and we just feel like you should be angry. And he goes, angry? He goes, yeah. He goes, okay. And so he comes back, and he goes, on whose authority? He goes, on my authority, and does that whole thing. They were like, that's, oh my God, that's exactly what. And he just looks at me and goes, now I know what game we're making. I'm like, no. And a part of me died.
No.
The original ending of the original ending of the game.
Far out.
You're frozen in your mech, and I'm sitting there, and I've got my gun like this, and of course he's controlling it. And the original thing is, he walks up to you, and he talks about how every movement needs a martyr. He goes, to really have an effective movement, you need to have a martyr. And so he walks, and he puts his head right there, and he takes the gun, and he puts it right to his head. He goes, I know what I'm doing. And he goes, bang. That's the original ending.
Far out.
Then we go into ADR, and they're like, we have 1C we need to pick up. And now all of a sudden, he's got my arm, and I go, some Air Force One line, get off my arm, or whatever, and we do a Die Hard drop. And I was like, what is this? They're like, there's no way we could have done the original ending.
Wow, really?
I might get in real big trouble for telling that story, but it's been long enough. I mean, they hired Kevin Spacey, and that's it's such a, whatever I can divulge.
How did you? Because you've openly said he wasn't that bad to work with. Like,
I mean, look.
What did you think when you saw that come out? That was crazy.
Didn't surprise me. I knew enough about Kevin Spacey from other people, and I know people who grew up with them, and his behavior is inexcusable, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's nothing that, especially at the height of that you can do to make amends or to recover from that. The talent is undeniable, and I think that the problem that persists within specifically this industry is, and Kevin Spacey's not the first, man. Like, there's a whole bunch of people. Like, there's no way that we would let Roman Polanski make movies today. If you look systematically through this, and I bet you could even go back and look at the different artists that we allowed to just keep making their art because they were so talented, despite the fact that their behavior was deplorable or despicable. And it creates this really weird thing. It's like, but I love the thing that they do. Keep doing the thing. Just do that thing in private. And then that is a non-sustainable model. So what you have to end up doing is going, look, no more. And what that means is, if that means that we lose the art, then so be it. But we're no longer going to be perpetrators or complicit in that behavior. Because I really think that, by and large, part of the reason why this behavior perpetuates itself is because there is nobody that's stopping it. And even more so, you feed people that have issues money and freedom to be able to and help sometimes cover it up, as opposed to going, no, man, no more. So I don't believe that. I believe that there has to be a system of justice that allows people to present things to be proven. You know what I mean? I want to believe people when I don't think that you turn and go, nah, not them, or we know, but he's going to do another awesome series of that show that we love. I think you have to listen to people. But it has to be like, what did you say? What did you say? And now use the systems that we have in place of courts and justice to be able to litigate that effectively. Otherwise, it's just rampant, chaos. Jeez,
do you have to shoot off now, Troy? I've got about 1,000 more questions, but I know that you're a busy man. So
I can squeeze in, because we started a little bit late too. I can squeeze in a little 8 more minutes for you.
Okay, thank you, Troy.
Sure.
The Last of Us 2. What a fucking game that was.
Agreed.
Depressing, but also some beautiful moments. Some beautiful moments within that. Tell me, how do you look back on it all? The hate, the love, everything that came with it. How do you look back?
It's how someone says, you can say whatever you want about me, but don't talk about my sister. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's there's a lot of that with me and Laura Bailey.
Oh,
Um,
she was unbelievable in that game.
Truly.
Unbelievable.
And the thing that's most impressive to me, she's a phenom. She's inimitable, incomparable. I'm honored to. She's like a little sister to me, and
Yeah.
she and I have been dear friends for years. And she stood by me for a lot of the stupid stuff that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Called me out on my shit a lot.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. She's just like, stop doing that,
Like a good sister should,
like a
eh?
great sister should. And even though she's younger than me, um, but then there's also we've been incredible scene partners together. Like we've been in more games and more shows together. It's stupid. Um, she knew going in what she was signing up for. She couldn't, by any stretch of the imagination, predict the methodology and the execution of what that vitriol would look like. But she knew what she was signing up for. She was like, people are going to hate this character. And so she didn't think, she's like, I think she's gonna love it. I get to be in The Last of Us. She wasn't, she was going and going, I understand the role that my character has within this story. I understand that I am the actor that is playing that character, and people will associate that with me. Let's go to work. She was the bravest person that ever stepped foot on that stage. All of us got to be familiars, and all of us got to be, oh my God, I can't believe we get to be in another game. She walked in every day knowing they'll remember her for one thing, no matter what they play. But if I do my job, if I make them pause for a second and go, then I will have done my job. If you can get to the very end and you're in Santa Barbara and you're hesitating, she's done her job. And
Oh, more than hesitating. I
you
was
know
on
what I
her
mean?
side.
Now you change
I,
sides.
I can't believe how they did it. I've never experienced anything where
Ever.
I had such hatred for her because I love your character. I think Joel is one of the greatest ever, thanks to you. And then gone, and I'm heartbroken, but I'm pushing on. And then she just wins me over. And by the end, I actually felt for her more than Ellie,
Boy,
a
Ellie's
character
scary.
that I've loved. A character that I've loved so much as well. It's just unbelievable how
It's
they
the
did it.
the true feat, and this is why. Look, man, I've the words of Marcus Aurelius have really rung true to me, especially in the last several years, because I got to myself to a point to where I was addicted to people's opinions, and I was sustained by the currency that they afforded me, and
Mm.
I realized that I can't do that because if I do, um, I'll go mad. So I finally had to, and I realized I've got this pen in my hand, and I realized that I'm not an actor, I'm not a musician, I'm not a writer, I'm not a director, I'm a storyteller.
Mm.
And that allows me to do all of those things without the necessitation of the structure and then the framework by which those conventionally are used. So I'm not an actor because I act. I'm a storyteller that chooses to play characters, and that's how I tell my story that day. But if all that I am is an actor, then that limits me in the way that I can tell my story. But the pen is in my hand. It is my story that I'm telling. And if I all of a sudden go, well, what do you think? And I hand the pen to you and you go, you're terrible. Oh, no, I'm terrible. I've allowed you to write a page in my story. I've got to keep the pen in my hand. So I knew within like hours before the leaks hit that it was coming.
Wow.
We would have been most likely on the press tour for the game when it hit.
Mm.
So I'm grateful that I wasn't there. That would have been really, really bad. I would have been most likely far from home. During it was scary, man, because there were
Mm.
people threatening to dox, and Laura got the
Oh, it
brunt
was
of it,
disgusting.
especially.
Some of the stuff I saw just absolutely
Yeah.
disgusting.
And it was it was people that were capitalizing on an opportunity. They weren't fans or people that loved the story.
It
It's
was for
impossible.
clicks. Yeah.
You can disagree with the story, and you can disagree with the characters.
Mm.
You can question the writing, but I would love to read your script if you do.
Exactly. Exactly.
And
That's
those
what
are
I
the
say.
people that have largely said, "Let me tell you what's wrong with this story." I'm like, "It is not the critic who counts, but the one who gets in the ring, whose face is marred with sweat and blood." So let me read your script. Let me read yours. And if your script is legitimately better, fucking send it to Neil Druckmann and take over Naughty Dog. Write a better story. But I
Yeah.
doubt, with the pedigree that studio has, with the devotion and the true talent that Neil Druckmann has, and Halle Gross, you could not write a better story. Because I've never played a game that made me, as someone who was involved with making the game, made me feel the way that I did. I've never had a relationship with a game like that before. And especially not just like, oh, the moments everyone goes to Joel's death, and it's like, that's not the most impactful moment for me. In some ways, the house afterwards
Oh,
is
the house.
far
What
more
a
impactful. It
holding
is the
back the
funeral and the
tears.
wake. I was in a heap.
Were you?
Oh man.
Wow.
And
That's
it
awesome, man.
was because I knew that was coming. I didn't know the house was coming. I didn't know how I would
Oh, so
feel
cool.
for the space scene. I didn't know how I would feel for the final porch scene.
All I
And it's
can
all
imagine
of
is
those
you playing
moments.
and just crying half the time.
Pretty much. I played it in chunks. I played it in about hour and a half to 2 hour chunks. Um,
I don't think I can play it again, to be honest, mate. Seriously, I want to keep that one experience and just, for the rest of my, maybe I'll go back one day, but it's one of those games you just want to. It's just a one and done, I think.
I haven't played it since it came. I got a review copy, and Neil said it's time. And I was like, okay. And I sat on it for a while because there was this Schrodinger's place where it lived because I didn't know yet. And Neil asked me, he was like, I want to know, do you think we did the right thing?
Wow.
And I said, I'll tell you after I play. Because
Wow.
I can't say yes and then criticize someone who hasn't played it and has formed an opinion. I said, I could tell you how I felt as an actor. I could tell you how I felt on stage. And I could tell you how I feel going into it. And I could tell you the months and the years that have been spent and culminated in you asking that question and all the conversations we've had and all of the thing that this game has provided for me. But the truth is, until I pick up the controller and I play it, I can't give you an honest answer. I can't give you an honest assumption. But the answer that I gave him then is the same answer that I have now on the other side of it. If somehow the good Lord gave me a second chance, I would do it all over again.
Wow. That is awesome, man. I just got to say, man, your work is incredible. Everyone here watching, especially me, appreciates your work.
Thanks, man.
Guys, make sure you follow Troy on all socials, but also go over to his YouTube later.
Cheers, man.
And
Yeah.
it's a community. It's an amazing community of people, like so welcoming. I love it, and I love your series where you also dive deep with some of the voice actors.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing stuff. Do you want to talk quickly about it?
I would love to. So this has been me figuring out what does it look like a Troy Baker has a YouTube channel, and then I quickly abandoned that because that's something that I'm not good at. What I am good about is conversations. And so what I seek to do is provide a platform for storytellers. If you're, first of all, everyone is a storyteller. And if anyone has ever heard me say this, you could probably mouth along with me, but we are genetically predisposed to be storytellers. It's the reason why we drew on cave walls, and it's the reason why we even created language in the first place, is because we naturally have to tell our story. We need to communicate with each other in order to survive. So we are all storytellers. People who go, I'm not a storyteller, bullshit, you just haven't found out how you want to tell your story. So that's what we're about. I want to help you discover how do you tell your story. And we do that in multiple ways. We do it through our podcast. We do it through community created content. We do it through a cooking show that we're going to start. We do it through our weekly movie hangs. We do it through our playthroughs. We do it through our conversations. That's how we do it. Is we give you multiple opportunities to get plugged in this community. It's a community that's spread out over multiple platforms, including YouTube, Patreon, and social media. And Saturdays we watch a
Facebook
movie.
group.
Yeah, they're pretty smart. Like that Zuckerberg guy is a kind of a piece of shit, but he figured out how to do social media well. But it's been a lot of fun. Wednesdays we have for our writers room, we have people that come in from all over the industry and talk about their experience of being writers and kind of their processes. And we have a small group of writers that get to really interact with, Hallie Gross, Mary Kinney, TJ Fixman, Ashley Miller. We've had incredible writers.
So much value if you want to be
dude.
in the industry or just in general. Just
For
so
sure.
much value there.
So come check it out. YouTube.com/Relator. Come figure it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time, Troy. Before I let you go,
Sure.
I have one favor I want to ask. As a massive Uncharted fan,
Yeah.
as my favorite series of all time, can I get Sam Drake to say something like, "I always felt that we were destined for something great, Dan"?
I always knew we were destined for something great to happen. A lot of people want to change that card. It's not me. I like the hand we've been dealt. There's a little bit of walking in Sam. You ever notice that?
There is, isn't there?
Just a little bit of walking in Sam.
There is a
I'm a
little
man of fortune, and I may seek my fortune. Nathan,
Oh.
come on. We were made for this.
I love how you just turn it on. You just turn it on, man.
I know who that guy is, man. And look, Todd Stashwick got the opportunity to play that character, and someday maybe they'll release what the stuff that Todd did. And he's a brilliant writer and a fantastic actor. And he's become a dear friend. And there's a little bit of Todd that will always remain in Sam. But that was from that kid that was doing that shitty movie, playing on his PlayStation 3 to
Full
play
circle.
that game Uncharted. That was a really cool way to come full circle, is to be not just a red shirt, get him, shoot his head, whatever guy, but to play a character like Sam that was such an interesting role in that. That was the feather in the cap.
Oh, I got to get you back on if at some point, Troy, to talk about Uncharted and a bunch of other things. So I really, really appreciate your time, mate. Thanks so much. Hopefully we can get you back on. Have a great day. Take care.
Cheers, mate.
And it's been a pleasure. Thank you, man.
Look forward to the next one, man. Till then, stay rad.
Thanks, brother. There you have it, guys. Troy Baker. What a man. What a man, what a man, what a man, what a man. What'd you think? Got as much in as I could. He was gracious enough to give us 45 minutes. It was only supposed to be 30. So he must have enjoyed himself. I enjoyed that. You enjoyed that, Dizzy? Yeah, it was a short one, but Troy's a busy man. Who knows what he's in this year, what he's working on. Far out. Now, guys, who have we got next week? Well, it's actually not next week. It's this week. Our next guest. Any ideas who we've got on? In the coming days, we're going to be having on. Are you ready? Nah, I'm gonna leave you there. I'm not gonna tell you yet. I'm gonna leave you hanging. But you're gonna be excited. Claudia, guys, it's not Claudia. Okay, I'd love to get Claudia on. It isn't Claudia. Not the next one anyway. I'm trying to get Claudia. It's not Claudia. I've got 3 guests lined up, right? One is from one of the recent Call of Duties. 2 is from a big game in 2020. 3 is one of the OGs. That's all I'll leave you with. But guys, thank you so much. I will announce it very, very shortly. Take care. and I'll see you in the next one. Let's play that hype reel one more time. What do you reckon? Here we go.
Programming is beginning to take hold.
We've got a job to do. We've known each other for years. Fought together, bled together, been through the hell of Vietnam together. We've got a job to do.
And now the training's complete. You just need to give the subject a name.
Dan. Dan, we've got a job to do. In the shadows. He'll send us in to find them.
126 actual. Target is in the main house. You have execute authority.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
If he lives and we die, his truth becomes written and ours is lost.
Your cities will surrender, broken and weak. We will not fail.
They were hostages.
When you take the gloves off, you get blood on your hands, Kyle. That's how it works. We get dirty, and the world stays clean. That's the mission.
How quickly they forget that all it takes to change the course of history is the will of a single man.
It's not over yet. Trust me.
CIA's analysts consider him to be the single largest threat to free will.
Did you get the plane I ordered?
That's a hell of a request, but give me enough time and I can have one parked outside.
Are you being cheeky, Dan?
Being cheeky, are we, Belle?
Like right now, I'll start talking like Adler. Where is Perseus? Perseus. Where is Perseus?
This is Agent 47. Subscribe to Dan Allen Gaming. He's a great guy.
I have mad respect for you. You've earned my respect.
Dan Allen! You and I. Going dark. Now!
I just want to say a big thank you to you and your community.
Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's so fun, and I love talking about this.
Hey, Danny, again, I think you're special. What you do is special. You're goddamn good at this.
I'll have to do it again. Thanks so much, man.
Anytime. Pleasure, man. Take care.
Take care.
Appreciate you,
appreciate you too.
Wanting to be involved, and thank you for all the work you're doing in the space and keeping people involved in the game. And I think it's just beautiful, and it's just